F25 beast to the test with a 200 km shakedown session in Fiorano. And guess what? Both Leclerc and Hamilton got behind the wheel, each covering 100 kilometers. The verdict? Absolutely flawless. The team seems to have exorcised the demons of its past failures, eliminating the gremlins that plagued its predecessor. And now, with what might just be the most terrifying driver lineup on the grid and an insane amount at stake, the inevitable question arises: are we about to witness Ferrari's return to championship glory? And more importantly, who will emerge victorious in the inevitable internal war for team supremacy? Let's be real. Ferrari is the most hyped up, scrutinized, and overanalyzed team in F1 history. And for good reason. They've just signed a 7-time world champion, a man who has dominated the sport for over a decade, to pair him up with the driver who has stuck with them through thick and thin since 2019. With a duo like that, Ferrari isn't here to make up the numbers. They want absolute domination. The Golden Boys of Ferrari finally got their hands on the SF25 during a private Fiorano shakedown, something the team does every year. But this time, there's one huge difference. For the first time in years, Ferrari might actually be thrilled with what they've built. Both Leclerc and Hamilton immediately felt a massive shift in performance, and early reports suggest the car is a huge step forward, especially in braking zones and corner exits. In short, Ferrari may have finally built a weapon that suits an aggressive driving style. But getting here wasn't easy. Ferrari ran into some brutal roadblocks over the last few months, with tyre management being their biggest headache. Keeping the car in the optimal performance window was a nightmare, so they went full mad scientist mode in the design process. When Fred Vasseur claimed 99% of the car was new, it sounded like classic pre-season marketing hype. But guess what? He wasn't lying. The SF25 features a pull-rod front suspension, a completely redesigned chassis, and an improved cooling system. Basically, Ferrari is heading into 2025 with a blank slate, and if everything clicks, this could be their best shot at destroying the competition. Speaking of expectations, after wrapping up his 100-kilometer stint, Leclerc didn't hold back. "We'll see on track if it's the best car, but it's definitely better than last year's," he joked. But when pressed on Ferrari's ambitions, he made it clear they're not here to play. Winning the Constructors' title is the only logical goal. "We finished second last year, barely behind McLaren. But I've always dreamed of winning the championship, and I hope 2025 is the year it finally happens." According to Ferrari simulator data, the SF25 has gained around half a second per lap. That might not sound like much at first glance, but put it in perspective. Compared to McLaren's progress, they're now neck and neck. And that's exactly why Ferrari has gone all in on a bold new concept. Half a second could be the difference between P1 and P5 in the constructors' standings. Of course, every team spends the pre-season bragging about how they've built a rocket ship. Even Aston Martin is out here claiming they'll be fighting for podiums if the stars align. But the confidence radiating from Leclerc and Ferrari right now is off the charts. And while it's entertaining to see them this hyped, there's one burning question that keeps everyone scratching their heads. What happens when Leclerc and Hamilton inevitably go to war? Both drivers are under insane pressure, and so far, Leclerc has played the diplomatic game when asked about his new teammate. But he couldn't resist slipping in a cheeky jab. "We get along very well. There's a lot I can learn from his work ethic and driving style. I respect the guy, but don't get it twisted, I'm here to win." So buckle up, because this Ferrari chapter is about to get spicy. Let's cross our fingers and hope this is finally the year for Ferrari. The best part? Fiorano's shakedown didn't bring any nasty surprises. No weird data spikes, no unexpected handling quirks, no WTF moments. Instead, everything ran buttery smooth, and the numbers lined up exactly as expected. In short, the vibes are immaculate. And let's be honest, if Ferrari doesn't walk away with at least one of the 2 world titles this year, it'll be a massive disappointment. They've put in the work, made the right upgrades, and this machine is an absolute beast. The tweaks made to the SF25 have already paid off, and none other than Ferrari's chassis technical director, Loic Serra, backs it up. While his real magic will be seen in 2026, since he's only been at Maranello for 4 months, he's already made a noticeable impact on the design process. And Serra isn't sugarcoating it. The SF25 isn't just an evolution of last year's car. It's a full-blown transformation. Ferrari has worked around the clock to reshape the car's architecture and squeeze out every last drop of performance. The pull-rod suspension is just the tip of the iceberg. This Ferrari is hiding an arsenal of upgrades under the hood. And with 2025 shaping up to be an all-out war, every single millisecond will count. And what about Hamilton? Let's just say he feels right at home. He hasn't wasted a second adapting, and Ferrari has gone all out to ensure he's fully synced with his new machine. From cockpit adjustments to pedal positioning tweaks, they've fine-tuned everything to suit his driving style. But Hamilton isn't here for a Sunday cruise. He knows he's got a massive challenge ahead, especially in qualifying. In his last few years with Mercedes, he struggled to nail pole positions. But if Ferrari has truly solved its one-lap pace issues, this could be the toughest fight of his career. Because let's not kid ourselves, Hamilton is up against the best qualifier on the grid. Leclerc has pulled off pole positions in cars that had no business being on the front row. So imagine what he can do now that Ferrari has finally given him a real weapon. The guy is a qualifying beast, and if there's one thing Hamilton isn't looking forward to, it's battling his own teammate on Saturdays. But this is Hamilton. He doesn't back down from a challenge. He thrives under pressure, smashes expectations, and delivers when it matters most. The question is, will Ferrari be the great equalizer that levels the playing field? Or are we about to witness one of the most intense intra-team battles in modern F1 history? Strap in, because this season is about to be an absolute show. And if you thought Hamilton would take his time settling in, think again. He's already calling the SF25 my Ferrari. And if that doesn't scream commitment, I don't know what does. He's not here to just drive. He's locked in, focused, and ready to go. When asked about his transition to Ferrari and what he truly thinks about the SF25, he didn't hold back. I'm 100% sure. No doubts, no hesitations, not a single question in my mind. I'm in the right place at the right time. This team has everything it needs to win. The 2025 Formula One season is shaping up to be a high-stakes battleground, and Ferrari stands right at the center of it. With the SF25 finally unleashed and both Leclerc and Hamilton getting their first taste of it, the real question now is how this machine stacks up when the lights go out in Bahrain. The early signs are promising, perhaps too promising. Ferrari has a long history of raising expectations in the pre-season, only to shatter them under the weight of strategy blunders, reliability nightmares, and underwhelming race pace. But something feels different this time. The car is fresh, the energy within the team is electric, and above all, Hamilton's presence is injecting a level of urgency that Ferrari hasn't felt in years. For the first time since 2007, they have a driver who knows exactly how to win a championship, who understands the importance of consistency, politics, and playing the long game. And then there's Leclerc, who's been waiting his entire career for a proper title-contending Ferrari. The guy is hungry. The guy is desperate. He knows this is his moment, and is not about to let Hamilton walk in and take what he's been fighting for. And let's be honest, this internal war will define Ferrari's season as much as their battle against McLaren and Red Bull. Ferrari chose this chaos. They willingly signed two alpha dogs knowing that the second the visors drop, it's every man for himself. They could have played it safe, built the team entirely around Leclerc, or signed a more compliant teammate. But they didn't. They went for Hamilton. And now they have to deal with the consequences. Ferrari knows what happens when you let two top-tier drivers off the leash. The Prost Senna wars at McLaren. Alonso versus Hamilton in 2007. Rosberg versus Hamilton at Mercedes. It always leads to fireworks. The only question is whether Ferrari can manage the explosion, or whether it will tear them apart. The thing is, this isn't a normal intra-team rivalry. This is a battle of generations. Leclerc is the young lion, the golden boy of Ferrari, the driver they've been grooming for years to lead them into the future. The guy who speaks Italian fluently, who's been through the painful rebuilds, who knows every corner of Maranello like the back of his hand. Hamilton, on the other hand, is the ultimate disruptor, the most decorated driver on the grid, a seven-time champion with nothing to prove, but everything to gain. He didn't come to Ferrari to play second fiddle. He came to cement his legacy with an eighth title and prove that he still has what it takes to go toe-to-toe with the best of the new generation. And that's where things get messy. Let's make one thing clear. Ferrari has a long history of picking a favorite. They backed Schumacher over Barrichello. They backed Alonso over Massa. They backed Vettel over Raikkonen. History tells us that once Ferrari chooses its golden boy, the other driver is left fighting for scraps. So what happens if Leclerc and Hamilton go into the summer break dead even? What happens if they start stealing points from each other? Do Ferrari back the guy who's been loyal to them for years? Or do they side with the seven-time world champion who knows how to finish the job? Make no mistake, this decision will come. Because in Formula One, only one driver can be the priority when the title fight gets serious. If Ferrari doesn't manage this right, they could end up handing the championship to McLaren or Red Bull on a silver platter. As much as we love the Ferrari soap opera, let's not forget that they're not fighting in a vacuum. McLaren is not here to mess around. Their development pace in 2024 was insane, and everything suggests that they've kept that momentum rolling into 2025. Norris and Piastri aren't just fast, they're dangerous. And unlike Ferrari, McLaren has experience managing two high-level drivers in a competitive car without blowing up the garage. Meanwhile, Red Bull is licking its wounds after chaotic 2024. But let's be real, writing them off would be stupid. Adrian Newey doesn't just forget how to build a championship-winning car overnight. If Max Verstappen gets a car that isn't trying to kill him on every other lap, he'll be a threat from day one. Ferrari might have finally built a car capable of fighting at the front, but their biggest challenge won't be Red Bull's aero genius or McLaren's relentless progress. It'll be their own ability to stay out of their own way. This season is Ferrari's best shot at a title in over a decade. They have the car. They have the drivers. They have the momentum. But do they have the discipline? Can they manage the chaos that comes with running two hungry, championship-caliber drivers? Can they avoid shooting themselves in the foot with outdated strategy calls and political infighting? Can they finally close the gap to Red Bull and McLaren when it actually matters? Or will this season go down as another tragic Ferrari implosion? A golden opportunity lost to history because they couldn't get their own house in order? One thing's for sure, this isn't just another F1 season. This is the season for Ferrari. The one where they either re-establish themselves as the powerhouse they once were, or collapse under the weight of their own ambition. And with Hamilton and Leclerc locked in a war that could define both of their careers, the drama is just getting started. So, do you think Ferrari finally has what it takes to win the 2025 title? Can Hamilton establish himself as the top dog in Maranello? Or will Leclerc defend his kingdom at all costs? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of every major development, every game-changing upgrade, and every jaw-dropping race moment, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this season is going